And learning how to preserve what you grow in your garden.
I am.
I brought strawberries today, and I have started to chop up some of my strawberries, and I would just put these in my pot on the stove and let them cook down and use my handy dandy potato masher, multi-purpose, and smush them down. Some people like to run them through the food processor. I like to get mine with as much color as I possibly can. The more color in your produce, the more healthy it is for you. And the pectin that I brought today is the full charge pectin. You're using it with the normal amounts of sugar. There's powdered pectin, and then we have liquid pectin that you can use. But with the strawberries, we would take about 4 pounds of strawberries and 7 cups of sugar and a package of pectin on the stove. Get it stirred, get it cooked down nice and soft, and then this is an 8-ounce jelly jar. You would put it in here, wipe the top off good, get your tops on and put it in the water bath. If I'm doing a low sugar recipe or a no sugar recipe, for those that are watching their sugar, watching their calories, then I use a different kind of pectin, same process, and for me it's much healthier because I have to watch my sugars. This is Pear Juice. I canned a 5-gallon bucket of pears. I got 3 cases of pint jars of pears, 2 cases of pint jars of pear sauce, and then I took the pear skins and the cores, boiled them, and then canned the juice. No sugar in this, nothing added, just straight canned. It's good because what you buy in the store has got all kinds of added sugar and preservatives. Not this. I can give it to my grandbaby and know she's getting 100%. You can can all kinds of things from your garden, from tomatoes, peppers. We use tomatoes and peppers and onions, and we make a awesome relish. And we also make an awesome relish using summer squash, the zucchini and the yellow squash, and onion and peppers, and we make this super awesome relish that goes fast. We get a lot of requests for it. Pears, we can blueberries, make blueberry jam. We make blackberry jam. This is apple pear chutney. This is something I get a lot of requests for. Pickles, you have your little cucumbers. Every summer we do dill pickles and bread and butter pickles. And the canning club this year, actually earlier this week, we took on carrots and we pressure canned carrots. So these pears, y'all, produce prices are going up. An awesome way to supplement what you're buying at the grocery store. And a lot of people have pear trees, farmers market. Come harvest time, you can get them really inexpensive. But you can do apples this way. You can make just plain apples. You can make an apple pie mixture if you're a baker. You can get your apples. If you don't grow apples, I cheat and I go to Kroger, and when they have the 99-cent produce bag, it doesn't matter that the skin is nicked or bruised because I'm cutting it off and I'm going to boil it down and make apple juice out of it. And then I will take the apple, cut it up, and I'll either make applesauce or I'll can apples that I can just open the jar and eat. But I copied, this comes, every box of ball pectin comes with a variety of recipes. The flip side has all the instructions. It's foolproof. If you don't have a canner and you just want to take 4 1-pound containers of this, you can freeze it. Keep it up to 3 months in your freezer. So you don't have to go to the expense of canning equipment other than your jars. It's freezable. Any of the fruits you can freeze.
Is this after it has the pectin in it that you freeze it?
Yes. Yes. After it has the pectin in it and you've cooked it down, put it in your jar, seal it up, stick it in the freezer. I will can mine because I do gift baskets for the holidays in addition to throughout the year. And then my pears and my apples I'm eating off of throughout the year as I go. But some of the recipes, strawberry rhubarb, that's really good. Raspberries are good. Plums, peaches, grapes, cherries, blueberries, apricots, crab apples or apples, elderberry, jalapenos. We make a jalapeno candy, we call it. We can jalapenos and wear gloves, because if you don't and you rub your eye, it's a trip to the doctor. That I can personally vouch for. But any questions on this canning part?
Okay, you mentioned a water bath, and then you also mentioned pressurized
it's
canning.
2 different things.
Nope.
The water bath, look, I didn't know anything, I'm sorry. I didn't know anything about canning, but Cheryl does. So she made me go to this too, like Master Gardening. So I have learned a great deal about it just by being there. The water bath is that it's a big enamel tub that you have water in it, and you get the water to a boil, and then you put your jars down in that water, and it has to boil for 10 to 15 minutes depending on the fruit, and then you just pick them, get them out of the water and go. It's a lot faster than the pressure cooking. On the pressure cooking, it's done by pressure. You have to get the pressure up, the steam. It still has to have water in it in the pressure cooker, but it's completely sealed. And it has steam coming out of the top. And once it gets reached to the steam, because everything's under a different pound, right? I mean, our carrots, we pressured those at 11 pounds for 25 minutes. I didn't think it was ever going to go finish.
And they came out good.
And they came out good. This is our first time with the pressure canning. And it's a way to, if you have other vegetables and stuff that needs to be pressurized, it's a more exact science than the water bath.
So why does something need to be pressurized?
It's the acid content.
Yeah, the acid content.
Like
The green beans, the carrots, your chicken, your hamburger meat, it doesn't have the acid content, so you need the pressure to make sure that there's no mold spores, anything like that. The lemon juice that goes in here is acid, so it takes care of preservation and making sure nothing grows that we don't want growing. The library has a variety of canning books. Ball puts out canning books. Their website has a ton of recipes, and they have a helpline that you can call them and say, hey, I've got 20 pounds of tomatoes and I want to make spaghetti sauce. What's a recipe? And they'll ask you, are you going to pressure can or are you going to water bath it? Well, I want to freeze it. Okay, this is your recipe to freeze it. This is your recipe for a water bath. This is your recipe for a pressure canner. So you don't have to go out and buy the books. I've gone out and I've invested in some books. And like I said, the library has them. You can check them out. You can go up there and pull it off the shelf, copy the recipe, go home and do it. But given what's going on with our supply chain, with food prices, this is a really good way to feed your family, do it on a budget, and do it for what's most healthy. This, I can give the grandbaby. There's no sugar in this. There's no preservatives in this. It's just plain grape juice. I go to the grocery store and I pick up a bottle of grape juice, and you ought to see the list of what's in there. I'm not going to give it to her. She's a year old. Sorry. Not going into her. And they make good gifts. They make good gifts. And if you're growing this stuff, you can do it in a cost-effective manner. And if you don't grow, I live in a place where I can't grow. I'll get my produce at Kroger's. When it goes on sale, I'll get those bags of apples. They know what I'm canning. I come looking for the 99-cent bags of apples, and they load me up. So,
You know, here's a thought for you guys. There is no, here's a thought for you. If you guys are really interested in knowing how to do this, and it's really kind of economical, the most expensive thing is the jars. And we get a lot of donations for our jars because every month we are canning something. Our project, our community project that we work on is the Jackson House, and we give them over 100 jars of jelly each year. So that's what our project is, our community project. But there's no reason why, if you guys have something that you would like to see done, come to one of our meetings. We'll be glad to have you. And we'll try to do what you're really interested in doing, showing you how to do it.
I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So what if even if you water wash or pressure cook and it doesn't come out tight, I mean, you can still punch it down?
okay. The question is if it doesn't seal correctly. If my jelly doesn't seal, then the next day I'm popping it back in that water bath with a new flat top on it, and I'm going to process it again. If my carrots don't seal properly, I'm either going to stick them in the refrigerator and use them that week, or I'm going to do a new flat top and reprocess. We want to wipe the rims of the jars off because as you're ladling stuff in, if food touches this, it affects the seal. And please, please, please do not reuse these flats. I know a lot of people that try to reuse them because they think it's cheaper, but the food doesn't seal, and a case of botulism is not worth the $3 for the box of flats. Botulism is a no-go.
How many inches on a water bath do you have to go above the jars?
It depends on what it is that you're processing. Usually it's 1/4 of an inch. Some things you need an inch. But whatever recipe you're using, those directions will tell you how much headspace to leave. You can also grow herbs in your garden. Dill, rosemary, garlic. Now what I've done with garlic is I'll take the garlic bulbs, I'll take the skin off, I'll mince them, chop them up, throw them in my small 4-ounce jar, put some olive oil in there, and stick it in the refrigerator. And it stays good. I've got minced garlic for a year. Now, one jar's not going to cut it for a year because I use a lot of garlic, but this is the size I use. But I can get garlic in the summer and put it up, and it will carry me until April or May of the following year.
Now, do you do a water bath on the garlic, or you just put it in a jar?
I just put it in the jar with some olive oil and stick it in the fridge and keep it that way.
Any germ in their right mind is not going to touch garlic.
You know, the dill, basil, rosemary, lemongrass, things like that. You can dry it or you can freeze it, and Pam is going to tell you how to preserve your herbs that you can grow, and those will stay for months too.
And do you do that with olive oil too?
Well, you can make a mixture if you like. If you want to do a salad dressing type, you can do it with olive oil and vinegar and stuff. But the main way, Cheryl and I have another sister, believe it or not, and she does all my herbs for me. So when I tell her I need herbs, she supplies me with what I want. She does dehydration, but when her dehydrator is full, she will air dry. It takes a little longer just to air dry, but the key is that just keep turning it over until it's just crinkly and falls apart. Another way is that you can freeze them too. And a lot of them will hold frozen. Like, you can freeze them in an ice cube if you want to. If you have an old ice tray or something that you want to. And then when you have, like if you're making a soup or stew or a spaghetti sauce or something, just throw that cube in there and just label it like that. Or you can just freeze them in a regular little freezer bag. So there's a lot of ways to keep your herbs going and not let them get out of hand in your landscape. My favorite naturally is rosemary, because I love those little blue flowers on it. But I just recently had some lemon thyme. That is fantastic. If you can find some, it is great. I put it in salads. See, I put my herbs in salads. I just crunch them up and put them in the salad too. So.
Yes, you can infuse any of these herbs in an olive oil, and you can use it for salad dressings. Some of them you can use in first aid creams. There's recipes out there for that. And you can use sage and dried lavender in a coconut oil. Make a coconut oil infusion with it. Drain the dried flowers out after 6 weeks and mix it with arrowroot and a couple other things and make your own deodorant. I do that.
That's why I'm standing over here.
There's ways you can use this. The extension office has books and has resource materials, but the library also has some books and some resource materials for recipes. And like I said, the Canning Club, we meet out here once a month on the third Monday of the month at 9:30. Guests are always welcome. We do a lot of our canning goes to Jackson House, and they use it for their annual holiday family basket program when they're putting together food baskets for families at the holiday time. They love our jams and jellies and pickles and relishes. So, any other questions?